Holla guys, what is going on? It's Preach. It's Friday. Tomorrow's the webcast. Please check it out. But today we're looking at the Combat Rogue. That's right. We've taken our Mutilate Rogue. We've seen what we can do with him, and now we've gone and switched it over, and now we're playing the Combat Rogue. And what you're looking forward to this is quite a little bit of a fun spec. Quite simple to play as well, which is really good. So what's the difference between an Assassination Rogue and a Combat Rogue? Assassination is very poison heavy. That's what we were talking about last time, is how important it is to get our poisons taken away. Poisons are still important for combat, but not as much as actually smashing the target with some big fat weapons. Alright guys, we're going to be doing a lot more physical damage with our Combat Rogue. And we're also going to play with a little thing called Blade Flurry, which has been changed for Cataclysm, and is fucking awesome now. And makes us the #1 cleave class in the game. We've taken that role from Warriors. In Wrath of the Lich King, they were cleaving away. We have gone, fuck you, Warriors. And now we are playing with our Combat Rogue, who is now the Mr. Cleave. Let's take a look. He's still the low-geared rogue that we went in with, 338 item level. And you can only get into a heroic with 329. So this is a really low-level rogue, guys, and we're going to hopefully put out some big damage. So what's different? Well, what we had in our other video with the rogue was a nice slow dagger and a nice fast offhand dagger. In this one, we've gone and picked up a nice big, really slow mace. I mean, we were looking at sort of 1.8 speed main hand daggers. This is you can see the speed here, just below where it says mace. So with a Combat Rogue, we want a nice, big, slow, hard-hitting weapon, because we're going to be doing a lot of Sinister Strikes, which is based off our weapon damage, and it's going to be really nice and fast, nice and slow. Alright guys, so we want around a 2.6 speed, if not slower weapon in our main hand, alright guys? And it's got to be an agility weapon, of course. And we want to make sure we've got instant poison on our main hand, and some nice deadly poison on our offhand. As you can see, nothing special about this rogue. He's not enchanted. All I've done is reforged him because he's still wearing a lot of greens and stuff. So we've not going to do anything particular special on this rogue. Just as if you guys had just capped your rogue, okay? And we're wondering what to go into a dungeon to play. So what are our statistics that are most important? First and foremost, agility. Agility is our #1 stat, and we want as much agi as possible. When it comes to your gemming, if you're going to lose agility by putting gems in there to pick up bonuses, then that's not cool. You want to put as much agility in as possible. So check your bonuses. If it's going to be a case of, well, I'm going to pick up a 20 agi bonus if I just use a blue or a yellow gem in this slot, then that's probably a bonus for you, because you're still going to get the 40 agility you would have got anyway. When it goes past that, hit and expertise. Now, remember in our Assassination Rogue, we said expertise wasn't that important. On a Combat Rogue, expertise gets more and more important, and we want to get up to that 26 expertise cap. As you can see, my gear is just not capable of getting there, and that's what you guys need to bear in mind. If you just capped your rogue, if you can't get up to that expertise cap, don't worry about it. Get as much as you can, and then you're still doing as much as you possibly can with your character, and that's what's important, guys. That is really what's important. Do what you can with your character. Alright guys, so we want to get up to the hit as well. So we've got some nice big fat chance of hit, 8.64%, slightly over the top for what we need for our special attacks, but I couldn't get it down any further. Never mind that. We're nice and happy with our hit there. We've got a special attack hit cap. We've got 0%. So we've hit capped, we've got as much expertise as possible. After that, with our other rogue, it came down to mastery, didn't it? Well, mastery is actually quite a weak stat for combat rogues. What's more important is haste. Alright guys, we need more haste. So you can see, haste becomes our next best stat because it's going to give us more energy back, and it's also going to get us more attacks with these big hard-hitting weapons. Alright guys, so you want to get haste secondary. So you want to go hit, expertise, haste. In general, you're going to be reforging away crit. Crit is our weakest stat as a combat rogue, because a combat rogue is attacking really fast with heavy hitting weapons. So we're going to be working on just our melee damage in general. Crits aren't that important to us, okay guys? We'll get crits naturally as we move through the class. So what we're after is haste, then comes mastery. If you've got everything other stat and you need to reforge something away, and it's a choice between crit or mastery, go ahead and reforge the crit away, okay? So getting your mastery up there, it's not that great. It really isn't important. You certainly don't want to be trying to get more mastery. But if you've got a choice to reforge away something, and it's down to crit or mastery, go ahead and reforge the crit away, alright guys? That's generally the idea we go for. So we've got some weaker trinkets on this rogue, which are going to make us suffer a little bit. We've got a mastery on use, not particularly great, but I still think we can pull off some pretty special numbers. So let's go ahead and look at our talents. Right, so we're in the combat tree these days, and we're looking to make sure we get the maximum DPS. And this is the maximum DPS spec that you can get for the combat rogue at the moment. Boom, we go ahead and we get 3 out of 3 precision straight off the bat. Let's pick up some hits so we don't need to reforge as much into our hit, okay guys? So go ahead and get 3 out of 3 precision. The precision, that allows us to get more stats elsewhere. Improved Sinister Strike. This is now our main attack. This is our combo point generator, is Sinister Strike. This increases the damage dealt by the Sinister Strike ability by 30% and reduces its energy by 6, so we can keep doing more. Alright guys, so that's the idea. Improve Recuperate. These are filler talents, don't get me wrong, these are talents that we could have put anywhere else, but in terms of a PvE rogue, we want to pick up Improve Recuperate for the times we need heals. We'll go ahead and stick that Recuperate up, and we'll get some nice big fat heals. Really good. What you notice there is it reduces your damage taken by 6% while Recuperate is active, so if you know some big hard hitting AoEs coming, go ahead and stick a low beat Recuperate on, maybe even just one combo point. We're still going to get that 6% damage reduction from it, alright guys? Improve Slice and Dice. Unlike Assassination, where our Venom made our Slice and Dice refresh itself, not the case with a combat rogue. We need to be making sure our Slice and Dice is up nearly 100% of the time, but we're going to have to do that through combo point generation. We're not going to get that free Slice and Dice refresh as we did get on our Mutilate rogue. We're going to have to make sure Slice and Dice is up ourselves. So by taking Improved Slice and Dice, we've increased the duration by 50%, allows us a little bit more time to slip a couple more finishes in, and also lets that just run away so we don't have to worry about it too much. Gives us a nicer opportunity to get that Slice and Dice back to 5 combo points and back up with a little bit of extra time. Improved Sprint gives a 100% chance to remove all movement impairing effects when your sprint is active. Nobody wants to be slowed. What have we always said through our DPS guys? The first that you're there, the earlier you start your damage, the more damage you do overall. So Improved Sprint, if we're snared, we can go ahead and sprint that away, get back up to our mobs and keep doing damage. Because we're a DPS class, we need to be doing damage to be effective in our dungeons. Aggression. I like that name. Such a simple word, but it really means it. Increase the damage done of your Sinister Strike, Backstab, and Eviscerate. Well, forget Backstab. We don't use it as a combat rogue, but what we do use is Sinister Strike and Eviscerate all the time, alright guys? So we need to get that buff in there, and that's where our talents come from. Lightning Reflexes. Increase your chance to dodge your enemies by 9%. Meh, not that great. We generally don't want to be being attacked anyway, do we guys? But what it does do is increases our attack speed by another 6%. So we're starting to get this idea of us attacking really fast with some hard-hitting weapons, alright guys? So this is where Lightning Reflexes and Slice and Dice start to come into their own. Revealing Strike. Interesting one, this, guys. This is going to be in addition to your Sinister Strike for generating combo points. So what do we want as a rogue? We want 5 combo points so we can then do a finisher. Let's have a little read. An instant weapon strike that does 125% of your weapon damage and increase the effectiveness of your next offensive finishing move on that target by 35%. So it gives you 1 combo point as well. So what you'll notice is when you're attacking a target and you use Revealing Strike, the mob will get a debuff with the same graphic as that little weird sword. So the mob will then get that debuff. And it's going to be on the mob for 15 seconds. So then the next finisher we do on that mob, while it has Revealing Strike on it, is going to be buffed by 35%. Now when I say finisher, this does not include Slice and Dice. This affects our 2 main finishers of combat, which is Rupture and its Eviscerate. Alright guys, they're going to get the benefit of this. So how do we weave it into our rotation? Because we use Sinister Strike to build combo points. So what you generally want to be doing, guys, is using Sinister Strike, and somewhere in there, either at the 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th combo point, go ahead and use Revealing Strike. So you get that debuff up for your next finisher. If your next finisher is going to be a Slice and Dice to refresh that, don't worry about it too much. You can just use Sinister Strike to get to your 5 combo points, because that Revealing Strike is not going to buff your Slice and Dice, alright guys? Moving down, Combat Potency. This is where it gets really important. Gives you a successful offhand melee attacks. This is why we use a fast offhand, because we want as many procs of Combat Potency as possible. This is why we have a very fast 1.4 dagger. This talent right here. Gives you a successful offhand melee attacks, a main gush. Main gauche attacks a 20% chance to generate 15 energy. That's a shitload of energy. Now you combine that with the fact that we've got the 6% attack speed from Lightning Reflexes, we've got the huge Slice and Dice buff, and we've got a really fast offhand. Combat Potency is going to be throwing energy left and right, and that is where it really gets good, okay guys? Because then with more finishers, we can fit in more Eviscerates between Ruptures and Slice and Dice, all that good stuff. Adrenaline Rush. This is our first DPS cooldown that we have. Increases your energy generation rate by 100% and your melee attack speed by 20%. So it's a double whammy buff. 3-minute cooldown, alright guys? So we get double the amount of energy. So when we get into that Bloodlust sort of phase, or when our trinkets proc, if you've not watched the DPS cooldown effectiveness, go ahead and watch that video. It's on my channel. Basically what we're going to have is pop Adrenaline Rush while we've got these cooldowns up. We're going to be attacking even faster. So we've got the Slice and Dice, Lightning Reflexes, And we've got Adrenaline Rush, which is increasing us by another 20% and giving us more energy. Combine that with Combat Potency, so we've got our dagger attacking really, really, really fast. We're getting so much energy back, guys, and that's why that talent is so good, okay, guys? It's a really big burst to your DPS. Savage Combat. The debuff that it's going to give for the raid wide, because every class generally has a raid buff that it brings, is this one. Increase your total attack power by 6%, which is why we pick it up anyway. It's a nice, big, important buff to ourselves. And all physical damage caused to enemies you have poisoned by 4%. So bear in mind, it's not as great as, say, a Frost Death Knight. It's just not, because you have to poison the target. Combat rogues generally don't use Fan of Knives, which would spread our poisons everywhere. We certainly don't have a buffed chance to proc poisons, such as an Assassination Rogue does. But in general, our targets that we're attacking are going to have this 4% buff. So it's not as good as a Frost Death Knight by any means, but it's pretty decent, okay? So we're still going to have the buff up on targets we're attacking, and that's what's important, guys, because selfishness is what DPS is all about. Restless Blades. Your damaging finishing moves reduce the cooldown of your Adrenaline Rush, Killing Spree, Redirect, and Sprint abilities by 2 seconds per combo point. Now, think about that for a second. When you combine that with the idea of Adrenaline Rush and all this extra energy we're getting from Combat Potency with all these attack speed bonuses, what you'll find is as the gear increases on your Combat Rogue, these are going to come down and down and down. How important is that? It's just so much extra damage, and eventually you start getting more and more finishes in and more killing sprees. This is really, really good. And most importantly, it reduces the cooldown of our redirect. Now, redirect is more important than what we had in our Assassination Rogue. I didn't even bother speaking about redirect. It wasn't that important. If you're not sure what redirect is, it's our 85 ability. There it is there. Or 84 maybe. It's one of the endgame abilities in Cataclysm. It takes our combo points off the target we're on now, because it's probably about to die, and puts them on a new one. So we just go ahead and select the new target, press redirect, and our combo points will appear on that target. That's important because of this talent right here. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky on the Combat Rogue. Bandit's Guile. Your Sinister Strike and Revealing Strike abilities have a 100% chance to grant you an evolving insight into the opponent's defenses, increasing damage done to the target by up to 30%. Opponents can adapt over time, negating this benefit, and striking a different opponent will begin the cycle anew. So, we get an evolving damage buff just by doing our finishes on one target. How does this affect redirect? If we come off one target and moved, and say we've got our Bandit's Guile up to 30% damage increase, and then we move to a new target and press Sinister Strike or Revealing Strike, we lose the buff. We lose the buff, and then we lose that 30% damage. And 30% damage is a fucking lot, guys, isn't it? Really is a lot. So what do? We redirect it over. Now, redirect is going to suck all the combo points off the target we're on now, shove them on the new target, and also brings with it the Bandit's Guile, this insight buff. Very important, guys. That's why we try to use redirect a lot if we're switching target a lot as a rogue, to keep this going. Alright, guys, that's why redirect's important, because it can keep our Bandit's Guile up. Killing Spree. This is our big secondary major DPS cooldown. Step Through the Shadows. It's a badass ability, guys, but it can get you in a lot of trouble in some situations because it instantly moves you behind the boss. Basically, you're going to attack 5 times really, really quickly and increase all damage done by 20% for the duration. So what you want to do is when you've got all your trinkets and stuff up and you're firing it off, you want to go into a killing spree. You're going to get a 20% damage buff while you've got all your other DPS cooldowns running, and you're going to see some really big damage come out. One thing that can be aware of is because we start attacking really, really fast as a combat rogue, we generate a ton of energy. So you want to use killing spree when you're low on energy. So by the time you come out of killing spree, your energy's back up so you can use all your abilities again. What you don't want to do is go into a killing spree with full energy and all that energy is wasted, because that's just wasted DPS, guys. We don't like wasting DPS. All about keeping that. So watch out for killing spree. It can put you in some tricky situations. If you've got multiple targets, it'll go and smack them all, especially if you've got Blade Flurry going. Moving out of Oratory, lethality, increase the critical strike chance, the critical strike damage bonus of your Sinister Strike, backstab, mutilate, and hemorrhage by 30%. So that's basically just applying to our Sinister Strike, so we get some nice big fat crit bonuses. Coup de grace. Increase the damage done by Eviscerate and Envenom by 14%. Only applies to Eviscerate for us, so we've got a nice 14% buff on that. And Ruthlessness, we pick up 2 out of 3 in there. Gives your melee finishing moves a 40% chance to add another combo point, so we can get back to another finisher quickly. We also pick up 3 out of 3 Relentless Strikes over in the Subtlety tree. Your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to restore for 25 energy. So if we're doing big 5 combo finishes, as we should, we're going to get a nice 25% energy back all the time. Alright, guys, so that's an important talent for us to take. So what are we looking for? Our Glyphs. Today, going to be Slice and Dice to get an extra duration on that, so we can just leave Slice and Dice running and focus on our Eviscerate and our Rupture finishes. Adrenaline Rush, so we get another 5 seconds out of our Adrenaline Rush. That's a lot of energy, considering 5 seconds is going to tick over to bring us some big extra energy. And our Glyphs of Sinister Strike, your Sinister Strike has a 20% chance to add an additional combo point, so we can get back up to finishes quickly. Doesn't rely on crit like it used to. It used to be Sinister Strike crits. It's not like that anymore. Just the chance of pressing Sinister Strike is going to give us an additional combo point. You want to be aware that if you're coming up to sort of 3 combo points and you've not done your Revealing Strike, that Glyph of Sinister Strike could proc, potentially, up to 5 combo points, and then you need to do a Revealing Strike, and that's a wasted combo point. So just be aware that might happen. We always take Glyph of Tricks as a trade as a rogue, guys. It's very important that we have our focus up on our tank, and we're tricking him on cooldown, guys. I'll put the macro in my comments. That's our focus ability macro. I'll show it in the demonstration of the heroic run. But Glyph of Tricks as a trade, very important. Makes it nice and free, so we can get, it doesn't matter about the damage bonus, but we want to transfer our threat so we can DPS earlier. Glyph of Blade Flurry, and I'm going to talk about Blade Flurry now. Reduce the penalty to energy duration while Blade Flurry is active by 50%. Blade Flurry used to be this awesome ability when we got 2 targets in front of us that we could fire off Blade Flurry and we'd attack both targets at the same time. Really, really good. So what we're doing now is, let me find it for you, Combat Blade Flurry. Blade Flurry is now a toggled ability with a 10-second cooldown. What does that mean? We can just turn on Blade Flurry. We just turn it on. Okay? And now we're attacking 2 targets all the effing time. It's amazing. And this is where you'll see combat rogues destroy the damage meters when there's a couple of targets up in a boss fight for a long period of time. If you were to look at, say, Magmar Heroic, which generally had a large a skeleton that needed to be killed, as well as the boss, you would find combat rogues would stand in between the boss and the skeleton and kill them both at the same fucking time. It was amazing. The damage just goes skyrocketing. If you look in Firelands at Major Domo Staghelm, who spawns lots of cats, and they're generally tanked in the middle, on top of the boss, combat rogues there do outrageous amounts of damage by switching this on. It does punish your energy regeneration by 15%. We've reduced that a little bit with the Glyph. What we want to do, if we are single target, is to switch Blade Flurry off. But for trash, we're generally going to have Blade Flurry up. And it's also affected by Killing Spree and so on. So we start attacking multiple targets. I'll show that in the heroic demonstration. So Blade Flurry is really, really good. A quick look at our abilities. Going over here. What we're trying to do, well, generally we're trying to get up to 5 combo points. There's my combo point meter here. We're at 4. Revealing Strike. There's our Revealing Strike debuff. I'm just going to put Slice and Dice up for now. We fire off an Adrenaline Rush so I can get back up quickly. So we're at 5 combo points. Our Revealing Strike is up. Then we put on Rupture to make sure our Rupture's ticking away. Then we try and get back up to 5 combo points again. And then we're going to Eviscerate in the meantime. Alright guys, and that's how we do it. That's our DPS rotation as a combat rogue. And the only decisions we need to make outside of there is, I've got up to 5 combo points. My Rupture's wearing off, so I'll Rupture that one. And then coming back up, we don't need to Revealing Strike our Slice and Dice because it doesn't get any benefit. Refresh Slice and Dice, and then just keep going. Making sure you keep your Revealing Strike buff up. There it is, you see that buff there for our next ability. And then you're just refreshing. You're either keeping Rupture up or you're trying to fit in an Eviscerate in between. Alright guys? Very easy stuff. That's all we're going to be looking for. And the other decision we need to make, there's our Bandit's Guile buff there, if you're not sure what you should be looking for. It's the little picture of a dragon. Is there 2 targets? If so, let's make sure Blade Flurry's on. Is there just 1 target? Then we'll switch Blade Flurry off. Alright guys, I'm going to jump into the heroic now and show you some little tips and tricks to see what we can do some big damage. Alright guys, I'll catch you then.